want to do one of those really thoughtful videos again. I felt like it resonated with a lot of people the last time, and there's so many more thoughts about that topic, where that came from, right? So today I want to talk a little bit about why I think a lot of people are drawn to homesteading and the idea of slow living. I just have the feeling there's a lot of people out there these days that feel the same way that I do. A certain way of fear, being afraid. Now, I usually don't really talk about this topic, not with friends, not with family, because you're quickly being told that you're like a conspiracy theorist, or that you're drama queen, or don't be so scared out of nothing. But the fear is there, and I kind of want to get it out. And I thought this channel might be a good way of just talking about it and bringing that out there, and hopefully hearing in the comments what other people think about that. I think a lot of the fear that people feel these days, and the anxiousness and the depression that's all around us, comes from knowing and feeling that the world isn't as stable anymore as it used to be. Everything that growing up we thought we could rely on, the economy, the weather, the food on the shelves, it all kind of feels a little bit more uncertain, doesn't it? And I know there's probably always been a certain uncertainty about any sort of issues in the world. But these days, I feel like every single day there is a new headline on the news that really is just fueling the anxiety and the depression. And if I'm being honest, every day I'm feeling a little bit more afraid. I'm really afraid of what the world might look like when my children are grown. Afraid of that they have to live in a world that's much harsher, much hotter, and so much more divided to what we already are. I'm afraid of how fast the climate is changing. There's so many people out there who are denying that there is climate change. But if you're a certain age, you can think back to your childhood and to what you've grown up with. It's completely different to what we're living in now. I remember German Christmases back when I was little. I would run to the window and hope for snow. But there's not a hope for snow these days, not a chance. These days Christmas feels more like Easter, and vice versa, Easter feels more like Christmas. And every summer, or even every season, feels a little more unpredictable, more storms, more extreme weather situations. Now we have floods where there used to be droughts, and droughts where there used to be green fields. And even in a country like Ireland, we get droughts and hose bans. Oh, and I'm afraid of how quickly people actually turn against each other. How there's so much anger and so much hate. Where is that coming from? There's so many strong opinions, and everyone should have their opinions, but there's no more listening. Just scroll through your social media and have a look at those comment sections. It is vicious, absolutely vicious. The growing hate, the judgment just for simply being different, for loving different, thinking or looking differently. Borders are closing up more and more, and the trust that once was there between countries is more and more fading. And then there's the people in power, those billionaires and dictators and people who think they run the world, and one little decision of those people can literally send a ripple through the whole world. And ordinary people like us, we will just have to live with the fallout. Sometimes I lie awake at night and I can't sleep because I wonder if the world that I put my children into is safe enough for them to grow up, to live a happy life. Will they have the same opportunities as we had? Will they be allowed to be who they want to be? And thinking that they won't really scares me. And I really think I'm not alone with that fear and being afraid of what's going on out there in this world. And I do believe, at least for me, it's true that this is why I'm really drawn to the life of homesteading and slowing down and living a much simpler life, setting right priorities, spending time with our loved ones, with our children, learning all those really important skills that maybe one day could even save our lives. And I feel like this lifestyle gives a certain amount of hope for the future. The hope doesn't lie in politics or in the billionaires that are in power or that are trying to colonize Mars. But I think the hope lies right here in the soil beneath our feet, right there out in our garden. And maybe change doesn't come from the top down anymore, and maybe it never has. I think real change really comes quietly from the ground up. So basically from the small things that we do every single day. A lot of people think they are just a tiny drop in the ocean and they can't make a difference. But I believe if, as a collective, we all just do our tiny little part, it doesn't have to be a whole homestead for everyone. That's not what I'm saying. But it's those tiny little changes everyone can do. And if we as a whole kind of world community do this in our own spaces, this will all add up eventually. The seeds we plant, the food we grow, or the way we teach our children how to be kind, how to be resourceful, and how to treat everyone with respect. I think hope can look as simple as turning a picture perfect lawn into a little wildlife patch, letting the weeds grow, the wildflowers, leave food for pollinators and wildlife. Hope can lie in the community that we're building, with our neighbors, sharing harvests and produce and helping each other out in moments of need. And hope can look like our children growing up knowing how food is actually being produced, how it's growing, and what a bee sounds like. And it's not about changing the world all at once. It's about changing that small little corner of the world that we live in and trusting that all those little corners eventually will connect. The beloved Jane Goodall, may she rest in peace, once said, "We still have a window of time. We still have a chance to turn things around. But it will take every single one of us to do our part." And I think she's right. One ordinary person like you and me, we can't fix everything. But millions, or even billions of ordinary people doing what we can, that could turn the tide. So maybe that is what makes so many people being drawn to homesteading, to this kind of life. It's not some kind of nostalgia or just the beauty of flowers or the joy of growing food. I think it is actually something much deeper. It is a certain form of resistance. It is basically saying, okay, I can't control what's happening in this world. However, I can build something real, something steady. I can learn to grow food. I can care for the bees, for the soil. I can plant trees. I can teach my children to be kind, to teach them what really matters, and to notice beauty in even the small things. And every act of care, every tree planted, every flower left for the pollinators, every patch of ground turned back to nature, that all is a kind of hope. And I understand that not every person is privileged enough to grow their own food. Not everyone has the space, not everyone has a garden. But we all have the power ourselves to be kind to each other, to be respectful. And I just want to make clear, I'm not here to be pointing fingers. I'm not here to tell everyone they should aim to homestead. Not at all. It's really in those small, simple things that every person, each one of us can do to make this world just a tiny little bit better, a tiny little bit more hopeful for our children. And that's what I'm holding on to. And I have the thought that maybe, just maybe, that what we do in our gardens today might actually help our children breathe a little bit easier tomorrow. And even in the face of fear, there is something profoundly human about tending to life. It's our quiet way of saying, hey, we are still here and we do still believe in tomorrow. We're having hope for a better world. And if you watched this today, just know that first of all, you're not alone in your fear, but you're also not alone in your hope. And please remember that every little choice you make, it matters, because it is not just a drop in the ocean. We, all of us, we are the ocean, and it matters. And I hope you can take this away from this video today. Thank you for watching so much, and maybe I'll see you again.